Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our weekly Q&A. I'm Belinda, founder of Motivate Training and Management, and this week I'm joined by the lovely Plum for Performance and Nutrition Training. How are you?
Hi, I'm great, thank you.
Well, for some reason, I seem to be sitting in the dark today. I don't know why. I have all my lights on. It is a dark, gloomy day here in Victoria, pretty much how we're dealing with lockdown at the moment. Where are you based, Paz?
So I'm on the lovely Gold Coast, so hence nice and bright and shiny up here.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, Kaz is going to share some insights. Currently, she's working with Zane Goddard and Alexandra Whitley, and she's going to tell us a little bit what she does actually with the drivers from a nutritional point of view. Of course, if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask around about nutrition, supplementation, Kaz can help answer them. So, Kaz, tell us, how did you get to work with Zane? Or tell us a little bit about you, because we actually met in another life through our love of fitness. So through bodybuilding.
Yeah, so my background is in bodybuilding. So I'm actually myself a national champion here in Australia 3 times and in New Zealand 2 times. So I'm very much used to competing myself in top level sport. We have a very big mental and physical demand. So, also the pressures of international competing, national competing, where there's a lot of pressure on you. So my background comes through from there, working with a lot of other athletes in various sports, the likes of NRL. I've worked with a lot of MMA fighters, a lot of national level athletes, of course, fitness competitors. So my big passion has always been motorsport. So my goals was to combine my passion for health and fitness and nutrition together with motorsport. Why not combine both your passions together and get recognition for motorsport athletes? And that's the word we want, athletes, that they are athletes. To be successful in motorsport at top level, the demands on these drivers is massive, and mentally, physically so demanding. No different to, where I've come from in the way of bodybuilding and fitness competing and working with other athletes in other sports. So that's my background, basically, very quickly. And the big thing for me has been getting, say, these athletes to recognize that they need to be fueled the same as their car. Because if you put crap fuel in your car or no fuel in your car, it's not going to perform. And this is where I work with the athletes to help them perform. Simple. And, people are out there spending thousands and thousands on their vehicles, but they're neglecting the fact that by spending even, half of that, less again, on themselves, they can improve what they're doing just as much sometimes as one little part on their car might. And, there's so many different avenues we work with, be it working with endurance, be it reaction times, there's so many aspects to motorsport, and different genres, of course, require different performance. Right. Some, like I'm working with Zane, require everything. So, working with a driver like that, obviously at elite level, is just fantastic for me. But for other drivers that I'm working with too, it's really no different. Zane obviously is a lot higher profile, being a supercar driver. The demands that go on him, we've got Bathurst coming up. We've got an endurance race coming up. Yeah. So I've got to focus with him on getting him fueled now and prepared and ready for an endurance race. So we've got to work with what do we look at to fuel him for that. So looking at supplementation, looking at his training. So it goes right back to him performing in his training. So I work with him with his nutrition and supplementation, like to work with endurance, like, you know, running, longer distance running, cycling, that type of training he's doing. But then we also need to look at that, you know, the reaction type of training, whereas we're working with explosive training. So he needs to be on the ball, you know, to do a qualifying lap. They've got to be switched on. So with that type of thing, we look at his supplementation to give him that real alertness when he needs to really switch on. But as I mentioned before, you know, when we're looking at the endurance type of things, we're working with supplementation and food to give him the endurance to power him through a longer race like Bathurst as well. And I mean, as we know, this season's been an absolute mixed bag of mess.
Yeah.
And, you know, so every athlete is different. Every athlete I have to look at individually. So, you know, as you mentioned, I'm working as well with Alexandra over in New Zealand. It's been very hard over there because they have lost all their racing over there. So, you know, for a long time, we had no focus and no goals. But for her, we're working on getting her healthier, and working with things like her digestive system, improving that. She was an athlete that, you know, like most females, a lot of females, we wanted to drop a bit of weight on her. You know, us girls, a lot of different goals there. Zane, the opposite. We've been getting weight on him. It's like everyone's different. And so with Alexandra, we've been working with her training, getting her strength up, getting her fueled to perform in her training, that she can then, when we get the chance, which has just actually happened, get her back in a car, you know, she's ready to go. So different goals for, you know, for different athletes. And that's where, as a, you know, nutritionist, sports nutritionist, it's about having it all individualized to that particular person. And, you know, Zane, it's been quite televised with him. You know, we've put on around about 6 kgs in weight, but the difference is, you know, I can put weight, we can all put weight on. You know, look at The Biggest Loser. It's easy to put weight on. But we want to put on quality muscle and, you know, the correct weight. It's no use piling on a whole lot of fat. So with him, you know, I've monitored right the way through. We've looked at completely changing his nutrition around for his training for general every day. But then I put together all his plans for race days so that everything is completely planned out in the week leading into the race, as well as his hydration being important. And then, of course, race day. But then, again, the other very important thing being recovery. So initially, the biggest thing with Zane, working with him, was it was quite publicised. He's obviously a rookie. He would be the most inexperienced driver in the field, and the fact that he has never had a race in supercars before this year. So he came into Adelaide, obviously very experienced from overseas, different levels of driving he's done. But he'd had some health issues last year and went into Adelaide and with his first race in supercars. He was nearly carted off to hospital after. He was basically, I think he was on IV drips. He went into shock, you know, major risky health problems from, well, not being healthy enough, not having the correct nutrition or fuel in his body, and recovery was a massive thing. So when I got the opportunity to chat to Zane about, you know, how I can help him, you know, I didn't even really know any of this background on him. And as soon as I said, you know, look, we can help with your recovery, it was like, oh, you know, light bulb moment of really, you know, you can help with that. And so, yeah, that's sort of the little bit of insight there as to, you know, where I've come from and how I've ended up working with him. And another publicised thing about poor Zane, bless him, he is just the most amazing athlete to work with. This guy has just work ethic second to none. But up in Darwin, again, it was publicised, you know, he was sick, he got food poisoning. So everything was like, are you kidding me? And after all the work, we've done together, this poor guy had to get in that car and race, with intense heat, with food poisoning. And as anyone knows, the risk involved there with, dehydration and all that side of things is just so intense. Yet, after now working with him, he pulled up out of that car better than probably a lot of drivers did, without food poisoning. And yeah, we've been working together now. We've finally found out, unfortunately, there was some, a few other things that have come along from that, side effects. But the blessing working with me, we've managed to keep his body and immune system high enough to keep him going and get him through that. Now we've sort of got a few answers that we can really move forward and, watch this guy, because he's really, impressive with what he is actually coming out with, and the difference we're achieving together has really been noticeable. Yeah.
Awesome intro, Kaz. 10 minutes. That is a fantastic story, and congratulations on your work with Zane and with Alexandra and achieving the goals that you have in such a short time with both of them. Well done.
Thank you.
You mentioned first up about them being athletes and so long. I continually tell motorsport competitors that they are actually athletes, and they do need to consider themselves to be an athlete. And even so, I'm actually going to change the name of this Facebook group, Motorsport Fitness, into Motorsport Athlete Performance, because we do cover more of that holistic approach around everything that you're kind of saying today. We do encompass the recovery, the whole pitch of the recovery, the training aspect, and definitely the mindset. So you haven't touched base on the mindset, but do you work with them around mindset as well?
So like with various different things, it all comes together, and we talk about females as well. Hormonal side of things can be a real challenge issue there. So working with all of that, I do a lot of work with hormone rebalancing, that side of things, but definitely cognitive training. It's all about, again, reactions and that side. But then we go into things like sleep. So, an athlete waking up for race day, how are they going to perform if they haven't got decent sleep? So I work with that with them. We cover everything, and the poor guys, guys, girls, they're always getting quizzed from me, and that's my job as a coach. I, sit down with them, like with Zane, we pretty much catch up every week. If he's away, we're on the phone. Obviously, again, things are messy at the moment. I can't be there all the time with him. But, we sit down, we analyse after every race, and this is what we've just done, how was your first thing? One of the first things I asked, how's your energy? How's your strength been? How's your sleep been? So I can work with that as well. We look at what is going on there, just the whole aspect of an athlete. And that's all going to come about from their mindset of, how are they training? How are they feeling? Putting that together, and obviously, staying positive, looking at the positive side of things. Look, when you've got an athlete with food poisoning, what do you say? Like, I mean, I'm stressing out, going, what do I do? I'm not there. I can't be there with them at the moment. Like we could be, to sort of work with it and things like that. They're throwing challenges at you all the time, and so you're always working with that mindset of, look, we're going to get through this, and I'm so proud of you for getting in that car and still driving. And I had a funny moment, actually. I'll share with you. Some of you might have watched the race in Darwin. And it was publicised on TV in practice where Zane had the food poisoning. He had it the night before. So it was pretty intense. I'm getting a phone call at 6 a.m. on race day. I'm thinking, this can't be good. Yeah. And anyway, so my athlete is now in a car driving, or potentially going in a car driving with food poisoning. I didn't know if he was still throwing up or what was going on here. And in practice one, it was publicised on TV. Here's his car, the Max Stone Racing unit car, going around the track, and the door flies open. My first thought is, oh my goodness, he's throwing the door open to throw up out the car. I'm sitting here on my live timing trying to find out if my athlete is actually in the car or not. So, definitely as a coach, to work properly with these athletes, you've got to be really in tune with them. You've got to know what is going on. You've got to know your athletes so well. And, how are they reacting to things? There's various things I know that I've learned, and you learn working with an athlete, for a longer period. What does this person suffer from? Do they suffer from stress and anxiety before a race? Do they need to be worked up and really hyped up before a race, or do they need to be really, really calm before a race? So working with things like that as well. But then that's where I can work with their supplementation. And we work with, I time it. So everything's timed for Zane, for instance, on race day, or obviously Alexandra when she's back in the car, and I've got a Super 2 driver I work with as well. It's like, I look at their schedule for the weekend and look at, okay, obviously we need this fuel in this athlete, but it's all a lead up. It's the whole week before. It's the night before. It's not just race day. It's putting it all together for them. And then looking at, how do we have to, work with them with their mindset, with, where they need energy, and putting all that together for them on race day for sure.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. Very similar to what we do. So are you going to Bathurst?
To Bathurst?
Yeah. Don't know. It's a $1 million question.
Ask our premier.
Well, hopefully, yeah, the borders will go to.
Obviously, look, the whole intention for sure, I plan on being there, and, especially for that one, when anything can be thrown at us. We don't know when the drivers are going to be in and out the cars. So everything needs to be ready for them. Obviously, yeah, in a perfect world, take away, the crap that's been thrown at us with COVID, I'd be there in the garage. And as soon as Zane is out of that car, or any of my drivers, handing them what they need, handing them their recovery drinks, handing them their next meal, having their pre-practice or pre-qualifying or race supplements ready in a shaker. Here, drink this, get this in you. That can't happen right now. With supercars, I think it's 13 is the limit in the garage, and it's essential crew only. Unfortunately, their trainer or nutrition coach, they're not classing as that right now. That's going to be really hard. But again, look, on a rookie driver like Zane, he's had all this thrown at him, and having to do everything for himself. And my job as a coach is to let him get in that car and just focus on his driving. That's all I want him thinking about. I don't want him having to think about what he's got to, what am I going to put together for a meal? Look, I take that away from him. I give him a recipe, and he's just got to have those meals ready, and going in at the times I've listed on his plans. That's all he's got to worry about. And so it's taking away that extra stress off a driver to help, again, with their mindset. And, the big thing for Zane, again, we talk about him after Adelaide, this poor guy, rookie, first time in supercars, his next fear of getting in that car was, am I going to be carted off to hospital after my race? How is my recovery going to be? So when I come into that picture, his next race back, he was fine, amazing recovery. And, as it stands now, he's probably even, on the back end of this food poisoning, he's probably getting better recovery than, most of those drivers in the field, because he's working with a professional like me that is putting all that together, that knows what they're doing, and is helping him with all these things. So I've taken away that worry of, if I get in this car at my next race, am I going to end up feeling like crap after my race and be in shock, or at the point of being taken off to hospital again from whatever's gone wrong? No, I don't have to worry about that. That's one thing we can take out of his head, and again, allow him to focus on his driving. And that's, I can't drive the car for him. But I can have them in optimum condition and fueled correctly to perform the best he can in that car.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying it's really important to try and get onto this prior to actually making it to supercars. So,
Yes.
you know, it was a last minute call up for him to go into supercars in this year. It was a fantastic opportunity. But, you know, realistically, you know, this work, this nutrition mindset stuff should be implemented, you know, many years prior to that.
100%. You know, look, working through right from, you know, karters. You know, I know we talk about that, you know, but it's the same, you know, all aspects, all genres of motorsport, you know, be it, you know, motorbikes, anything. Coming through there, you know, getting, you know, obviously nutrition supplementation for, you know, youngies, for kids getting into the sport. It is different, but it is still important, and it's getting that recognised, coming right through, looking at, you know, what is this athlete doing? Are they doing an endurance event? Are they doing a sprint event? You know, again, we look at sort of different types of training and fueling them for that to suit. But the importance comes through from right back then. And, you know, we pretty much, you know, I could say with Alexandra got put out because, you know, again, she's gone into this, well, I've got no races, I've got nothing on, let's just kind of cruise, and all of a sudden, boom, oh my God, we've got an opportunity to race again, completely unexpected. And I'm like, you know, hey, how's your training going? Oh, you know, probably haven't done as much as I should. And it's like, you know, so yeah, it is the mindsets of these athletes is so important, and everyone has different work ethics. You know, I mean, in all sports, in all parts of life, people have different work ethics of, you know, being determined in, you know, for me, like in an off season with bodybuilding, everyone would say to me, you know, oh, so when do you start all the hard work? It's like, well, now I'm doing it now.
That's right.
It never stops. You know, you're building a foundation. And, you know, as a motorsport athlete, their training needs to be, you know, going on all the time. And to train efficiently and correctly, being powered correctly by the correct nutrition and supplementation, that's where it takes you to that next level. That's where someone's going to get to the podium by, you know, correct training in that background to get them performing the best they can in that car when they get in the car. And I mean, you know, race days only, you know, with Zane, it's only, you know, basically once every 2-3 weeks because he's sharing the car at the moment with Jake Kostecki. But his, you know, it's still so important what he's doing all this time. He can't just slack off and go, oh, you know, I'm only driving the car every now and then. Everything is so important to keep that fitness up, and but his health as well. You know, it all comes back to, like we talked about, correct sleep, gut health, the correct fuels going in them, just general health and well-being all around is going to make a difference.
Yeah, and that's what I've been really encouraging, that during this lockdown period, to look at it as a positive, and maybe where they would have been spending their time and money and resources, I guess, in on-track development, so maybe having a driver coach or getting more practice, that this is the time now to invest in themselves around their off-track development, and, you know, going more into this, like having nutritional consults, analyzing their sleep. You know, we provide a free sleep diary just, you know, in our files section for people can just record it, and, you know, it's amazing. There's things like your Apple Watch or even your iPhone now that you can help record your sleep and just have a look around it. You know, again, it doesn't have to be a paid service. There's a lot of free services that you can invest or look into to try and get these results as well. And then, of course, you know, if they do have the budget, there's obviously practitioners like yourself or in our team as well that they can invest in to go forward. But definitely it's important during this lockdown period, especially for us still in Victoria, that they can look into upskilling themselves and trying to find that defining moment, like you said, getting that 1% performance out of themselves.
That's right. You know, and as I say, it's being ready for when that opportunity knocks. And, you know, that's where your top athletes come in. You know, that's the difference in the work ethics when, you know, I work with, different, different genres, just different sports in general. I know the ones who are going to succeed and achieve in their sports because, they don't take the foot off the pedal, literally. It's all about, looking the whole time at how can they improve what they're doing and be ready for if that opportunity knocks, that they can grab that opportunity and go with it. And, Bathurst is a great example because, look at your Super 2 drivers. I work with some Super 2 drivers, and it's that no one knows what's happening. For a while, we had nothing, and then boom, it was thrown on us that they were racing at Sydney Motorsport Park, I think it was, and then it's now, now no, they're not going to be at Bathurst, and now it's yes, they're going to be at Bathurst. So, I understand the mindset of like, well, we've got nothing to look forward to, so what's the point? Might as well stop my training, might as well go and eat some chocolate and drink some alcohol, it doesn't matter. But the difference in the drivers that I see that are then going to progress into, supercars and make it in the sport are the ones that keep focused and are like, right, this is just a road bump that we've got to go across at the moment, but an opportunity could come about. And I know, Gary Rogers Motorsports just brought in 2 young rookies there. What an exciting opportunity for them to be, thrown into Bathurst. Now, if they'd gone, we've got no races, and, so we might as well just go out and party and forget about, nutrition, training, supplementation, they're not going to be ready for that race. You can't just click your fingers and all of a sudden your fitness is back and, everything's back on track again. It takes time. And as a nutrition coach, that's the big thing of getting people to understand that, again, like I talked about, it's not just about race day. It's about the whole package, the whole lead up of getting your body healthy. And if your body's healthy, it's going to, that's when we can start to get it to perform. And that's when you're going to be looking at the next level. Even go back to kart racing, younger ones coming through there. Who's going to progress? It's the ones with the work ethics, that are, looking after themselves, that are healthy, that are, putting in the training that's necessary and keeping it going. And I know it's hard. It's hard for all of us. We've all sat back in lockdown and had a glass of wine and, taken our foot off, haven't we? But it's getting through that and keeping positive and keeping focused and, moving forward with an eye on the prize.
Yeah, and as we always again promote, but you never know when your next opportunity is going to come up. So anytime a race team could call, regardless of what category you're based on now, opportunities arise, and you need to be ready to say yes and be able to, like I said, put your foot on the pedal and go ahead with that opportunity. So it is really important if you're wanting to have a career within motorsports, to continue with your training, be on top of it at all times. Yes, you can have your peaks and flows. We know now that it's come towards the end of the season for most series, or most have already finished due to COVID. But this is now the time where you need to start really focusing on about your pre-season training, doing the heavier, the hard type of training, content around the categories that you'll be racing or potentially racing in 2021. And like Kaz saying, it's around getting your endurance up, your strength up, your sleep down packed, your nutrition up, your supplementation. And there are so many factors of becoming an elite athlete. But, if you want to be there in the supercars or Indy cars or whatever your aspirations are, Speedway, two wheels, ASBK, then it is really important that you keep on top of this stuff. Kaz, thank you very much for your time today. I don't want to keep you any longer. It's been half an hour. I really appreciate all the insights you've given us. You did touch base about, females, most drivers needing to lose weight, but that's not the only thing. There's some that are wanting to put on weight and having different supplement requirements. So tomorrow night you're running a seminar. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so I'm going to be on Race Chicks Motorsport tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So, jump on, register on Race Chicks Motorsport, and I'm going to talk a lot more in depth about, what we actually do in the way of utilising, fuel sources, carbs, fats, protein, etc., in a nutrition plan for an athlete, and how it works. Going a little bit more in depth on what we've talked about today, and covering a lot more topics, more specific. But we're doing a question and answer section. So the big thing there is for people to get in their questions, because I can talk about anything you want to. There's such a huge variety of different aspects of nutrition and supplementation. So, get those questions in so I can cover anything that you guys want to know about.
Yeah, and same with our weekly Q&A, guys. We try and do have a theme, or if not, we're happy to answer any questions. This is a free resource available for you guys. It's only a small group, but I want it to be a vocal group. So definitely, if you've got any questions, as you can see, there's loads of other allied health practitioners in here that can definitely answer your questions. So put them into the group anytime, and we'll get them answered for you. So again, Kaz, thanks very much. How can people get in contact with you?
So I've got my Facebook, which I've got my personal one, Kaz Plum, or Performance Plus Nutrition and Training, but also my website, performancenutritiontraining.com. So, through there, obviously I'm on it in the groups as well. So, feel free to contact me in any means through there as well.
Fantastic. Well, again, Kaz, thanks very much for joining us this morning. I really appreciate your time.
Can't
wait to finally hatch up and have a protein shake.
I know, hopefully back that's right. Could our premiers just open our borders so we can go?
I'd like to get to Sydney with my parents, and if Bathurst is there, then that would be fantastic as well. But no doubt we'll lock in a date for 2021 for that protein shake.
We're there, hey, we'll be there. We'll be in the garage then with our athletes. Oh.
Right. All right, Hans, thanks very much.
Thank you. Bye.